You might remember a few episodes ago when I transformed a regular birdhouse from Michael's into this black metal church nightlight. Well, I'm at it again. But this time I'm going to make a cosmic horror white noise machine. And you're probably asking yourself, what the hell's a white noise machine? Well, if you're thinking it's another way of saying country music radio station, you'd be wrong. I'm going to tell you all about that later. But for now, let's focus on how I transform a lighthouse-shaped birdhouse into something right out of a novel by H.P. Lovecraft. I was recently at Michael's when I spotted a lighthouse-shaped birdhouse. Lighthouses make me think of New England, and New England makes me think of H.P. Lovecraft, so I was inspired to create something truly horrific. I was sure I'd need some tentacles, so I hopped over to their plastic animal section where I found these cephalopods. I also found this dragon. These wings will come in handy. On my way home, I stopped by Halloween Adventure, where I picked up these silly finger tentacles. I was ready to begin. First, with a hole saw drill bit attachment, I cut a hole into the bottom to access the inside of the structure. Next, with a Dremel tool, I cut a jagged hole in the front as if something monstrous had burst out of it. I also cut off the steeple. I made more holes in the back for better access to the inside. I used plumber's epoxy to create the facade. Instead of making stones or bricks like I've done in the past, I spackled it on, really pushing it into the wood. I used this old file to create a texture. I think it gives it the look of an old dilapidated concrete building. From this box of trinkets an old friend gave me, I found the perfect door. It's rusty and oxidized and very portal-like. Plastruct is a company that makes textured sheets for architectural models. I used this terracotta pattern for the roof over the door. I used the same for the trim of the terrace, as well as for the trim of the base. Next, I used this faux ironwork from a dollhouse supply company. I put it in the oven for a moment to make it a bit melty. And when it came out, I was able to form it around the tower. Now I wanted some girders to be sticking out of the hole like something was bursting forth from it, so I drilled some holes in the wood. Next, I pounded some 16th-inch armature wire flat with a hammer so they look more like girders. And I glued them into the holes with some Zap-A-Gap. Next came my favorite part. It was time to paint the whole thing black. And if you're playing the home game, this is where you take a shot. Next, I sponged some gray paint onto the building. It really brings out the details. Then I dry brushed the model with a lighter gray. Now this door I found has just the perfect amount of rust and oxidation. It's the color to match. So I mixed up a brown wash and let it drip over the whole model. Pay close attention, Warhammer fans, because these are all really solid techniques for making gaming miniatures. I sponged a greenish paint on the model to give the look of oxidation. Though it also looks like the structure is covered in algae, which makes a lot of sense for a derelict building by the sea. Now, a lighthouse should have a light, and I wondered what I could use to achieve that. The answer was in front of me all along. With a hole saw attachment, the same diameter as the Propoxy tube, I carved a trench in the building as well as the bottom of the steeple. And it was the perfect size for the Propoxy tube. I cut the clear tube to size. I cut a piece of purple lighting gel and inserted it into the clear tube. And lastly, I inserted a battery-operated fairy pearl into it. And voila! My lighthouse now has a light. But what burst out of here? That comes next. I needed some Super Sculpey and pressed it into a skin texture mold I had made previously. When it came out, it looked like dragon scales. I rolled the Super Sculpey and inserted it into the model. I picked up some eyes from a taxidermy supply company and pressed the eye into the sculpey and then tossed the whole thing in the oven. When it came out, I sculpted an eyelid out of plumber's epoxy. And then I painted it black. Next, I sponged some purple and pearlescent white paint on the eye for added realism, and I popped it into the lighthouse and hot glued it in place. The eyes have it. This is looking pretty rad. Those tentacles were too floppy, so I put armature wire in them. And then I filled them with Alumilite, a 2-part hardening resin. Now they're good and solid and easy to work with. With a Dremel tool, I sawed the wings off of the dragon and the head off of the octopus. I took them outside to paint them black with Krylon black lacquer spray paint. Inside scoop, I painted them behind a police truck. Back inside, I sponged purple and pearlescent white paint on them for this effect. Vinyl is nearly impossible to glue, so I drilled holes just the right size and forced the wings into place. I did the same for the small tentacles. Because the large tentacles were filled with resin, they could just be hot glued in place. I used an open flame to melt the railings and bend them into place. And lastly, I added more faux railings to make the steeple more ornate. And this is the top of my lighthouse tower. I hope H.P. Lovecraft would be proud. And this is what our cosmic horror lighthouse looks like. Now I know what you're thinking. Voltaire, you said it was a white noise machine. A white noise machine sounds like what you get when you mix Alex Jones, a glass of wine, and a microphone. But that's not at all what it is. In fact, I didn't know much about them till I got this one. This is by Sound Oasis. It's a Bluetooth sleep sound therapy system. The way these things work is they make soothing sounds that block out other distracting noises to help you sleep better. I've got to tell you, this thing is really loud. The sounds are very, very realistic, and it's got a whole bunch of them, like crickets, the sound of rainfall, and of course, most importantly, the sound of waves crashing on the rocks. What better use for our cosmic horror lighthouse than to bring us closer to dreams and the sounds of the ocean? Now this thing doubles as a Bluetooth speaker, so you can play your black metal out of here if you really want to. And because it has an SD card, you can upload your own sounds. So you can upload sounds like the call of Cthulhu, or the maddening cries of Cthulhu's disciples, or a sound that's heard only once a century, the moans of ecstasy of Mr. Orville Dedenbacher. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed watching this project unfold. There's lots more Gothic homemaking coming. If you liked the video, please like the video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss another episode. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you here on Gothic Homemaking. God, that is really very soothing. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe so that you'll never miss another Gothic Homemaking video. Full episodes of Gothic Homemaking can be seen right here on The Lair of Voltaire. Whoa, get up off me, Holmes!